if you've been following the world of business, in around 2007, there was the fall of a mighty company, Invesco Assurance. Now, the company died and was later on resurrected. The man who's joining me right now is the man responsible for that resurrection. I'm talking about Geoffrey Njenga, who wrote Thriving on Borrowed Time. Karibu sana. Karibu sana to the Morning Express book review.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Great, and you're also a reverend, so I should call you Reverend.
Yes, you can.
Reverend, we don't see a lot of stories told about what happens in the world of business the way you're telling this. It is a great story of recovery and resurrection, as you call it. But what got to the point of saying, hey, I need to put this down on paper? Because we had Uchumi that went a similar road. But what got you to say that people need to know about this?
One, I do enjoy writing, writing things. I also realize the value of something which is put down in paper. And I think, like you rightly said, it's a good story. For that reason, I think it is something worth writing and for having Kenyans read it.
Whenever we have a turnaround, we always talk about the figures and numbers have improved, but we don't get to talk about the people behind that. You know, for your case, people had, well, he was a statutory manager who was rewarded by being made the CEO. But what was your personal journey in reviving this company?
Well, it is a journey which is larger than numbers. When you kill an insurance company, yes, indeed, I think you will see the change in numbers because the company dies and you will report huge loss. What we fail to remember is that there is human tragedy. When you kill an insurance company, you actually destroy very many people. You see, if you killed a bank, you would kill one account. If you kill an insurance company with an insurance policy, that policy might as well be covering a bus which may have 62 passengers, and that bus may get in an accident with another one with 62. And you can begin to see the enormity of the problem. So it is not just about numbers. Again, when you kill an insurance company, the liabilities immediately turn to the insured. Because the company is not there to meet the liabilities. And therefore you are talking about huge numbers of people who will be chased by auctioneers and courts and all manner of other people who are trying to recover the loss that they suffered in an accident. And they were insured at that point, but now they don't have an insurance company. So the story is much more than numbers. The other thing is we fail to see that this company was killed by somebody. And we don't talk about that. In fact, I'm not aware of anybody who was ever prosecuted for having killed an insurance company. And we probably have had, what, 8 to 10 insurance companies in the last 15 or so years which are collapsed. So we are talking about huge human tragedy, which obviously is ignored.
Reverend, you just mentioned we've had about 10 insurance companies that went under. Looking at what predisposes insurance companies to this kind of tragedy?
Well, it's a small thing. It's basically human effort. Companies are managed. A company is a legal entity, but a company is also managed by human beings. And in a successful company means that you do have a leadership which knows what needs to be done, and they do it. Failure, likewise, is from people who are not doing what ought to be done. Of course, we do have disasters which can happen, like typhoons, like natural disasters, but I cannot quite think of any company in this country which was destroyed by natural disaster. It's all human effort, not error. It's human effort. Some of it is very focused. If you read the book, you know that the activities leading to the death of this company were very focused and very determined.
They are well intended
human beings, and they're quite intended.
I would be interested to find your comment on leadership and its role in the corporate Kenya right now, and what needs to be done.
One of the biggest tragedies in this country is collecting information for the sake of it. And most of us are going back to school. children are going to school during daytime, and parents go to school in the night. Everybody's going to school to acquire what? Knowledge. And I think we can claim to be a very knowledgeable society. What worries me is whether that which we know in the head really changes what I think, the values that I hold, the actions that I take. And leadership is really not about the things I know, and that has its place, but it's what I do with what I know. And I am very concerned that we are developing and evolving a culture of people with a lot of knowledge, but that knowledge does not seem to affect my heart. And I keep insisting when I teach corporate governance that we need to get what we have in the head, drop one foot to their heart, to form convictions. Because the reason why business will fail, the reason why we are not doing as well I think we should,
a lot of stuff we know is theory.
It's theory, and there are very many people who could do this better than myself, but most of us are happy to have theory than to have action. So if I were to...
It's safer to have theory.
Well, I don't know whether it's safer, because some of us probably would want not to be too safe if there's something that needs to be done. But I think I would want to see a leadership that says, I will do it. I will do what is right. Leadership needs to move away from the ivory tower to action and doing what we know to be right. In fact, leadership is the key. It's the most important aspect of management, of economic life. The countries which have made very good progress, like Singapore, which I talk a lot about, it's not because they have resources we don't have. In fact, they don't, the resources which we have. But you know what? They have a leadership which is focused, a leadership that is determined to do what is right, a leadership that is seeking to improve as on ongoing basis. But if we are going to lose our time in conferences and seminars and meetings and more meetings to think about other meetings, we are getting nowhere. We have enough knowledge. Let's do it. You know, this thing is carried by just about everybody now. It is not because you're in love with Bob Collymore, or are you?
Not really.
The reason why you carry this thing around is because it's relevant to you. And if we want to make insurance, we want to build penetration, we must look for ways of making this thing relevant to the common person. Safaricom has made this mobile telephone relevant to us, and we are all going for it. M-Pesa is now relevant. My mother, deep in rural country, would want to have this telephone because I can send her the money. Now, I'm not in any way suggesting that Safaricom or telephony is the same as insurance, but for goodness sake, this thing can be made relevant to my needs. This 3% thing has been touted around for a long time. What I think many people do not realize is that that number can even be smaller, because you do have classes of insurance which are compulsory, and therefore people don't come because they love insurance or they want to be insured. I cannot drive a vehicle in this country without insurance, without motor vehicle insurance, and you have a big group of people who are in that because they have a motor vehicle. Loans and mortgages are protected. You must have an insurance policy to protect them. So you do have another big host of people there who are there not because they want it. And perhaps if you put motor and the loans and mortgages, you may probably end up with an 2%. And end up with people who come to insurance because they want insurance. They think it's relevant to them at 1%. So
we need to make this relevant.
We need to go back to the drawing board and ask ourselves how we can make insurance relevant to the common person, and come back the lower level of the pyramid, because that's where the money
people are.
We've been told before that poverty is not bankable, but we know that there's a lot of money at the lower level of the pyramid. The industry players, and that's the regulator, the industry players, the insurance companies, the brokers, the agents, and people like you who are interested in the business. Kenyans are learned people, and I expect that those who've been to school can pick this story and read it. I did it as a story. And one other commendation I've received is that a very serious story is done in a very nice story like which anybody can pick and read.
Right.
So it is available to whoever may want to read it.
All right, Reverend.
It's a good story.
Reverend, the book review is not complete without a book reading. I'd like to ask you to pick your favorite line of the book and just give it to us.
In a nutshell, this is the man behind the revival of Invesco Assurance Company. When he was initially appointed as a statutory manager of the former Invesco, I was very sure that it was not going to be business as usual at the company. I knew that all that he needed was an opportunity to implement his ideas, which were bound to be new, plus space to operate, and he would produce impressive results in due course. My wife believes in me.
Fantastic. Geoffrey Njenga, asante sana.
Thank you very much.
Much appreciated.
This has been a great time with you.
Thank you so much.